Okay, so these are the wax cuttings. I've started melting them into a cake, but I wanted to just show you, just to compare, you know, when you might remember when I first scooped this out, how sticky it was with honey, and now it's just pretty flaky. One of the things that was a little different this year is there's a lot of these small little balls of wax. They're mostly honey-free. They're not sticky. What happened is the wax got a little bit hot out in the sun on this metal sheet, and I actually had lined the picnic table with black plastic bags, and it got a little hot, and so some of these kind of melted together, and there may be a little bit of honey in the middle of those, but last year when I did it, it literally made every single thing just flaky. The bees just cleaned it right up. But this is still a lot flakier than it was when I put it in, if you'll recall from my honey harvest video. Okay, I prepared my next load of wax to melt. As I think I mentioned in my video where I showed how to make the wax melter, I made a mistake where I started with just too small of a unit. I probably should have used a 9x9 pan, but you can see this next load of wax is ready to go, and you can kind of see some of the wax that's melted so far. One of the issues I'm having, again I mentioned, is that I probably should have used glass, because what's happening is the wax not the wax, but the plastic lid for my wax melter is fogging up, and I can't seem to figure out how to control it, and as it fogs up it doesn't create the same heat, so it's not as effective. So I'm going to have to replace this plastic lid with a glass one so that it can heat up better. Okay, after a hot day in the sun, this is what it looks like. It leaves a little residual on the paper towel, and then you can kind of see this is after several loads. I think, as I mentioned when I made this, I would have preferred to use a 9x9 pan instead of this smaller bread pan, but you can kind of see mine doesn't really get hot enough. Also, because I use plastic, I need to switch out to glass, so it's kind of lumpy, but I'll show you how I deal with that. Okay, so the wax is melted, but as I've told you, my wax melter isn't super functional, so it doesn't get super hot. And as you can see, the wax in the pan is not smooth. And so this is my de-factor double boiler. I just put a couple knives in a big pot of water underneath the pot, and it'll warm up. The wax will melt, add water to it, and the wax will float to the top, and I'll be able to take out the wax cake. Okay, we're in process. It's starting to melt. You can kind of see up close that a lot of it's already melted, and we're in process. So little by little progress. Okay, we're making more progress. Getting down to the last little nub. Okay, we finally reached the end result. All the wax is melted, it's mixed with the water, so I'm going to turn off the heat and it will separate with the water on the bottom and the wax on the top. Okay, here is the finished product. After you take it out of the pan, kind of see it's a pretty good sized piece of wax. What I wanted to do is to weigh it and see how much wax and weight we got. So here we go. Let's see how much that weighs. So it looks like just under 1 pound. So 120 pounds of honey generated 15 ounces of beeswax. I think in part that may be a little light. I would expect over 1 pound for 120 pounds of sugar, but that may also be due to my small wax melter, and it's just inefficient where you kind of lose more because you have to use paper towels more often, and each time it soaks up a little bit of the wax, so that may be why my yield is a little bit lower.